Good evening, Mind Trippers, and thank you again for joining us on another week. Today, we're taking the road less traveled, as we say every week. However, tonight's topic is don't let you get in the way of you.
Absolutely. And for those of you who have been following She Is Still Dope Society for quite some time, you may remember seeing us back in April or May, can't remember the exact date, when we were guests on this very same show with Candace Coleman, and she talked to us about this very same topic, how to stop letting yourself get in the way of yourself.
Yeah, and so tonight we're going to take it a slightly different direction. I know oftentimes we provide scientific facts and our psychology background, but tonight we're going to provide you with a little bit of our own story and the way we didn't allow ourselves to get in the way and the ways that we did when starting our own business.
Definitely. And I think it's really important that we share our journey with you because there's so many of you viewers out there who may have had a similar path as us and kind of got stuck somehow in your own, what's the word I'm looking for? Got stuck in your own patterns of behaviors, got stuck in your own ways, and got in the way of attaining the next level in your life. So as Nikki was saying, at first we didn't experience that in our journey, but then we came to fall upon some of those obstacles. So I really like when she starts the story about how we started Bryant Katsaounis mindset coaching. So you go ahead and take it off.
I will do that. So right before we get started, we will delve into the fear mindsets and some of the obstacles that cause us to get in the way of ourselves. But I think I'm going to start off with a quote. And it is, just because it took you longer than expected to get where you want to be, doesn't mean you have failed. And I think, that was one of the mindsets that got in the way of us. But I will start off in our journey. So for those who don't know how we got started, I had hired Taylor for the agency I'd worked at as a therapist, quickly promoted her up.
What was that, January 2017?
Yeah, it was a few
It's almost 3 years ago,
yeah. Quickly promoted her up, and we were team leads together for the 7 counties surrounding Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And so as part of that process, we spent many nights on red-eye flights traveling to Arizona, Compton, LA, California,
Florida.
Yep. Yeah, all kinds of places. So tell us a little bit about our Florida experience.
It's crazy, guys. So it's funny. They offered us our individual rooms, like when we were in these different locations, but Nikki and I were like, no, let's go for it. Let's share a room. And like she said, when we were sharing these rooms, we got to know each other and understand like our passions and purpose in this life. And we both realized that we wanted to start our own private counseling or psychology firm. But then we kind of realized we wanted to take it a different route. And as we were sitting on, what's the name of that bar? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but we were at like a airport side bar in Palm Beach, Florida.
Yes, we were sitting there and we were ordering our burgers, which were really good. I don't know if you remember. And we were like scrolling through Google and looking up different ways that we can open up our own firm. And then we saw life coaching. And then that was it for us.
Yeah, and literally in that moment, we ordered business cards. We said Bryant Katsaounis life coaching, and that was it. So the reason we're telling you this is that we generally have 1 or 2 categories of clients that come to us. Either the individuals who are scared to get started, or those who have their own successful business and there's some fear mindsets or obstacles stopping them from moving forward. So what we call imposter syndrome. And almost everyone falls into one of those 2 categories. We did not fall into the first one, the fear of getting started. We literally, and when she said we had an idea, it was maybe over the course of 3 nights. Watching some investigative ID for the few hours we had after working 12, 15-hour days.
You can't forget forensic files.
So it's not like this was a process we had really talked about a lot. We delved right into it, no fear, like a child with the pure innocence and no fear factor, like jumping into something.
I have to pause because when we decided to go for this, like she said, no fear factor. We were sitting at the airport and this girl is ordering business cards for us. We don't know where our office is going to be. We don't know what our hours are going to be. We're not quite sure the population we're going to serve, but she's on Vistaprint, literally ordering 500 business cards for us to get started.
I did, because I felt like that solidified it for us.
It did.
And it did.
It did.
And then you called your husband and asked him if it was okay if you started your own business. So, we literally jumped in no fear. But as the business started to develop, as we had to work out all of those logistics, we did start to have some fear mindsets and obstacles kind of take hold and play into how we ran things.
Right. And I think the biggest one for us was kind of like the money mindset and the way that we wanted to serve our community. So this one probably is more specific to me. And it's a way that it held us back in the beginning when we first, got started after we ordered the business cards, right? couple weeks, couple months in, we were trying to figure out pricing and the best way to make a living for ourselves as life coaches and how to meet the needs of the community as well. And I wanted to give everything away for free. I'm like, Nikki, how about we do sessions for $25? How about we run groups for $20? And Nikki's looking at me like, Taylor, you got to stop giving things away for free. And I felt like I was holding us back because we're trying to make a living, and it's difficult to do so when you're giving too much of yourself and not putting a value on yourself or your services.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the big obstacles a lot of our clients face is, one, not knowing their worth. And then two, even if they do know, not knowing how to ask for it. The fear of asking for a sale or asking for a price tag on your services is a huge mindset block that holds us all back. Whether it be in your personal life, let's say someone owes you money and you're scared to ask for it. In your business, knowing your worth. Again, we have like this mindset over money. And we almost fear it. I'm afraid it's going to ruin a relationship. I'm afraid people will look at me differently. I'm afraid I'm going to come off entitled, right? There's all these fears of judgment and fear mindsets that get in the way of being able to properly run your business. Because the way we were doing it at $25 or $50 a session, we would have had to have had 100 clients a week, and we would have been working more hours than what we did at our jobs previously. And that wasn't the goal. Right. I think the goal of us starting our business was to have freedom. Financial freedom to travel, freedom to spend time with our loved ones, to start families, right? We wanted that freedom. And that money mindset that we had in the beginning didn't play into that.
I wanted to also say that I feel like that fear or that money mindset does get in the way of a lot of people who aren't going the entrepreneurship route. Like you said earlier, just that fear of like giving to maybe a family member who needs that money. It can get in the way of your relationship or cause some troubles there. But for those who are entrepreneurs, you do have to learn your value, and you can't cater to the budget of those in your community because sometimes it just doesn't work for you. But if you get caught up in that mindset or that thought that if my prices are too much, I'm not going to be able to serve, that's going to hold you back. And that's going to be one of the main things that get in the way of you becoming that ideal entrepreneur that you've always seen for yourself.
And so we wanted to start out with something easy to dip our feet into. Because money mindset, if you struggle with it or not. But again, most often with all of our clients, whether they're scared to get started or that they've started and they've hit a wall, right? Profits aren't rapidly gaining like they expect. They're not hiring the way they expect, whatever the case may be. What we find are fear mindsets coming into play with that. And I think this is what also started for us. We didn't have the fear starting, but we had the fear after we got going. But we're going to cover all of the fear mindsets of you getting in the way of you. And we're probably going to reference a lot being entrepreneurs today, because that's kind of the story we're alluding to with ourselves. However, this can play in all areas of your life.
Absolutely. So I really wanted to, like you said, we're going to encompass the different types of fear mindsets that may show up, that stop you from being the best version of yourself. But I really want to dig deep with imposter syndrome. That's big. We briefly touched on it last week at our last segment, but today we're going to dig deeper and kind of share the different facets of imposter syndrome. So mind me, guys, I wrote down the definition because I really wanted to share it with you guys today. The definition of imposter syndrome is a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite success. So many high achievers or leaders or just influential people in the community suffer from imposter syndrome. Despite the success that surrounds you, you have certain thoughts, certain self-doubt, certain things that hold you back from really stepping into your role or stepping into your calling.
And your role, of course, your calling is your purpose, which we've talked about over the past several weeks. It can be your career. It can stop you from stepping into your role as a mother, as a wife, as a husband, a significant other, right, sibling, and all the different hats we have to put on in life. feeling like an imposter, not feeling good enough, adequate enough to play in that role can really affect how we show up in our relationships and how we show up in our courage and what we're willing to do in that role.
Absolutely. So let's kind of break it down for everyone watching today, the different types of imposter syndrome that we've experienced ourselves in this journey on our dissertations to our PhDs, right? And on entrepreneurship. For me, and a little bit of you, we have the natural genius. And the natural genius, man, is just somebody who success kind of falls into their lap, if you will. It's been easy. It's easy to obtain things. It's easy to do things. You find that anything you try is very easy, if you will. It's easy. It comes to you like that.
Yeah, and whether it be because of skill set or, because God placed that in your lap, whether some luck happened, whatever the case may be, that doesn't necessarily mean you have higher than normal skills. It just means things kind of fell into place in your younger years or informative times.
Right. So many times people ask me the question like, Taylor, how do you do so much? How do you excel through life? And how do you just continue to get these degrees and start your business? All these things. I think it's because of the natural genius. Like we said, things just come easy to us, including you and us, because things come easy to you too. But
they did.
They did. Nikki's been going through some difficult times right now, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Me too. Who isn't with COVID? But anyway, what's really difficult for the natural genius is when you attempt to try something new and it doesn't come easy to you. Whew. That can really make you experience some self-doubt and make you feel like you're not good enough and you're not measuring up. So on this journey towards developing Bryant Katsaounis life coaching, there were some different things that we wanted to try that really didn't come easy to us. So to give you guys an example, social media was kind of one of those things that we tried to get started with. At first, we didn't have a large following, but then they came to us. But that was something I really struggled with. And she had to help me through that.
And I think too, I really hate the name, the natural genius from Imposter Syndrome, because it sounds very conceited or cocky, or it makes an assumption. And that's not what the title this means. It's just the name applied. It means that, let's say, and I want to break it down. So let's say you always worked naturally with kids. You had younger siblings or cousins, and it came so easily to love them and care for them and to be a parental role. But then when you became a parent yourself, man, like it's harder and the days are long sometimes, and you're like, man, why am I struggling right now? Right? So it's anytime we are facing an obstacle that we're not used to facing, or where things came easy previously, and for whatever reason it's different now.
Yes.
So like you said, I think I experienced this too. So I didn't have social media prior to starting the business. You did. So you had some experience with it, but neither one of us knew anything about marketing. At least she knew how to use Facebook. I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, she's like downloading it on my phone. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do with this. Right. So we experienced it in different ways, but we felt very inadequate. Things kind of generally made sense just because we had spent so long in school and practicing therapy that coaching and this line of work came naturally. But when it came to marketing and advertising and asking for sales and having to throw ourselves out there to be ridiculed and for public judgment, it was really difficult. And we put the brakes on all the things that we got offered in the beginning. We turned down podcasts. We waited a little bit to start social media pages because we were scared.
Right. And that was the biggest thing. Just us not understanding like what comes with podcasts, what comes with social media, what comes with marketing. Like we are psychologists, right? If you will, we're becoming psychologists. That comes easy to us. We understand behavior, we understand thoughts, we understand feelings. We could talk to you guys all day about that. But when it came to marketing, the natural genius in us, it just did not show.
Yeah, and instead of taking down that armor and being brave and vulnerable, we just were like, nope. And so it took us a few months to really get into that rhythm. And I would say, even something like this, doing a live show, I know I would have put the brakes on immediately.
Absolutely.
And now we're not. So, that natural genius tendency in all of us, because we all have that in one form or another that shows up. Let's say you're a great cook and all of a sudden you're asked to showcase your favorite dish at, at a fair or something. Maybe you're really comfortable, but for a lot of us, we're like, oh, you know what, this is just what I do for my family and my neighbors, and they all love it. It's not good enough for the community. We all have that tendency where things come easy and then all of a sudden it's not easy anymore. And it can really put the brakes on and the next level of achievement in your life.
Thank you for making that segue. That's what I wanted to share as well. With the natural genius, you have to fight through not being good at something the first time you try it. There is so much beauty in the struggle. I'm sure many people feel that. Just putting yourself through learning something new, not giving up, not allowing yourself to say, you know what, I quit, I tried it, I can't do it. That's when you're gonna stop yourself from excelling to the next level. That's how you're gonna stop you from yourself. If you are finding or identifying with the natural genius, you have to fight through these things and these feelings and this sense of inadequacy just because it didn't come to you the first time you tried.
It's like a quote. It says, in any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step backwards into safety. Right? Whether it's a big pivotal moment in your life, whether it's something minor, whether it's this moment right now, right? We can step forward into growth or step back into safety. And stepping forward into growth is stepping into that, you know what, I'm not good enough, but I'm going to overcome this challenge. Right? Because we know that's not necessarily the case. That's just a mindset we have. Stepping forward into something new is being vulnerable and being courageous. And we always, in every given moment, we have those two options. And so often we step back into safety on everything we do. That
kind of reminds me of, is it Russell Branson? Are you familiar with that name? That kind of reminds me of Russell Branson. I saw a quote from him, since we're on the quote train today, that if somebody asks you to do something or presents you with an opportunity that you have absolutely no idea about, say yes. Say yes. Why not? Why stop yourself from going forward with that opportunity, learning a new skill, trying something that's challenging or something that's outside of your comfort level or that safety bubble? Right? You say yes to those opportunities and you're going to grow. You're going to step forward into that growth.
You might stumble because you're not an expert. It doesn't come the natural genius part, right? It doesn't come naturally to you, but you will learn and grow, and something good will come of it, whether it's creativity, even if you don't master that skill, you have a new perspective. This is such a broad topic, so it's hard to give specific examples, but regardless, when you're always the natural genius, you're living in comfort. And you will never grow from your comfort zone.
Absolutely. Let's go into the next one, which we kind of hinted to a little bit, and that's the expert, right? Nikki can probably talk more to this because I identify with the natural genius. She's more of the expert. But the expert under the imposter syndrome is just feeling like you have to 100% know something or 100% be involved in something to move forward with it. So you briefly touched on earlier the whole social media thing and just not really
understanding
how it works or like the facets, the in and outs of it, especially when it comes to marketing our business. So do you want to share a little bit more about the expert?
Yeah, so I think the expert, and the way it showed up for us, I never doubted Taylor and I's ability to be coaches or therapists. I'd seen the skill in action many, many times through different platforms.
Same.
So I think for us, the imposter syndrome of the expert came into play on every other logistical aspect, right? Like I was scared to even buy the right kind of book to log like our accounting or our sales. So I'm like, well, I don't exactly know.
I remember that.
Right, so I'm like, I'm not even gonna buy the ledger yet. Like it stopped me. And I think I was using a legal pad to document everything. So I'm like, well, I don't want to like commit to buying the certain template until like I know exactly what our accounting is going to look like. Like it was just a mess. And that held us back because it took us longer than to go through our profits and our expenses. I'm hand calculating everything because I wouldn't commit to a program because I wasn't an expert in that program yet.
And then this lady with taxing, she's like, Taylor, we have to save X amount percent for taxes. And I'm like, Nikki, let's get QuickBooks. I can calculate it all for us. She's like, no. This ledger is fine. I'm doing fine.
Up until a few months ago, Nikki was still using the hand-printed ledger. That fear of that part of that imposter syndrome still came into play. Right?
Yep. So another way I think that it showed up.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
With the expert too. So in applying it to like some of what our clients show up, we have so many clients saying like, I have this great business idea. I have this experience, but I don't have quite enough experience. So next year, because we come in and we ask, what are your goals? Here's how we're gonna help you achieve them. Well, I want to start my business in 2022.
Why?
Yeah. Why? So I think that's a big one, and I would equate it to I'm gonna wait till all my ducks are lined up in a row. When my kids are a little bit older, I become a little bit more of an expert. Well, I'm gonna go through this extra training before I get started. It shows up all the time, and it stops us from achieving our goals.
The biggest thing is that I'll do it when the time is right. I think that's definitely, like she shared, a commonality that we find not only with our clients, but even with friends and family and just people in life in general. I'll do it when the time is right. But how do you assess that? How do you assess when the time is right?
The time will never be right.
Time will never be right. Sometimes you just have to rip off the Band-Aid and go for it. If you know what you want, hunker down, make a plan, and figure out how to move forward with that. If you're always waiting until the time is right, you're going to continue stopping you from becoming this version of yourself that you've always planned or maybe even dreamed for yourself. We have, not to put any of our clients on blast, but we have a client who lost somebody important to him in his life, and he really wanted to start this foundation for this person. And we were having a session a few months back, and he's like, I have all these things going on, X, Y, and Z. I just don't think now is the right time. And Nikki, love her, told him, stop robbing yourself of joy. What are you waiting for? This is a brilliant and beautiful idea. When you put your goals or your dreams out there and share it with the people around you, you'll be surprised by the amount of love and support you get back. He went for it. He ripped off the Band-Aid.
Just 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, right? Yeah. He ripped off the Band-Aid, and now he has this foundation for this person that he lost.
Which we will, as soon as I think the details are in place, absolutely let you guys know that too, because it's a really great cause.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You do not have to be the expert in anything to do anything. Society kind of conditions us to live in fear. They kind of condition us to have this mindset of, oh, you need the degree. Oh, you need the experience. Oh, you need something to be able to do something, right? That's not true. You don't need to be the expert to make the first step.
No, and truly becoming an expert is through the experience and getting started.
100%.
So the best way of becoming the expert is by getting started.
Right. Ripping off the Band-Aid. Another form of imposter syndrome is the perfectionist. Ooh, the perfectionist, I feel like sometimes I can suffer from that. What about you? You suffer from the perfectionist?
Yeah, I think more so in the beginning, and then it kind of oscillated. Now you've been the perfectionist lately, and I've just been like, let's just do it.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that, taking it back to when our journey first began, I think we both kind of were the perfectionists. We had to do everything perfect. We had to do everything right up front. And if it failed, we kind of questioned our intellectual abilities to be able to do this. We thought maybe we were frauds. Maybe we weren't ready for this journey. But we found quickly that we don't have to be perfect in our roles. And we don't have to be perfect in what we're doing to serve our community. We just have to get started.
And even, we were even when we were propositioned to do this show, I think the perfectionist mindset in me came out a little bit, and I said, oh no, we're not ready. We don't have a setup. I don't have lighting. I don't have a microphone. I mean, it was just, I found every excuse in the book. Still don't have those things, but we're trudging along. And I think it's like you said, ripping off that Band-Aid and getting over it. Things will not start out perfect, and they will not start out with your end result in mind. And that's okay.
Again, that's where the Russell Brunson quote kicks in. When somebody presents you with an opportunity, go for it. Absolutely, 100% go for it with full force. I do remember when we, like you said, when we were propositioned with this show, just some of the mindsets that you had around that. I was like, Nikki, let's do it. Why not? Sure, we don't have the lighting or the setup, but that will come with time, which it has come with time, right? And we absolutely love this opportunity. We love sitting before you guys every Wednesday at 4:30 and bringing you statistics and research and how to change your behaviors and mindsets to be a better version of yourself.
And so the reason we're talking with you about this today, I think we kind of have danced around the point a little bit, is because so often in life we feel tired, right? And I'm talking about that emotional, no matter how much sleep you get, if you can sleep until 11 a.m., praise those who can, you always wake up tired. And you're always tired during the day. And you're tired, not because of maybe the physical exertion you have, but you're tired because you've done too little of the things that light you up in life. I mean, sincerely, that's what it comes down to. You know, when you are really living and doing the things that light you up, you go to bed with energy, you wake up with energy, you're ready to start your day. And when you're consistently tired, it's because you're not doing the things that light you up. Whether it be a hobby, whether it be a career, yeah, like any aspect of that, it's because it's so little of your time at the end of the day. And so we're telling you this because these are so often the mindsets that stop us from doing the things that light us up, that stop us from being our best selves, from living the life that we envision. And we will make every excuse in the book as to why it's not the right time. But what we uncover is that it's always the fear mindsets playing into that, and the imposter syndrome, and all of these things that stop us.
I just feel like people are so, I don't want to say people, society, if you will, accustoms us to living in this small fishbowl, right? It's safe, it's comfortable, we know what our routine is going to be every single day, and we find resolve in that. But where true growth comes, and if you want to stop yourself, if you want to move to the next level and stop yourself from getting there, you got to jump outside. You got to be that goldfish that jumps outside of that bowl into the lake, pond, ocean, something bigger for yourself. Stepping out of your comfort zone is where true growth happens for you. Now, guys, there's a lot of fear surrounding that. With stepping outside of your comfort zone comes uncertainty, comes risk, but also taking a chance on yourself can come happiness, pride, learning, growth. So many good things can happen for you when you decide to stop living in that fear mindset.
Yeah, and I think you alluded to this. You know, we so often have the fear of judgment or the fear of rejection or failure, right? Well, I'm not ready to get started because people are going to judge me. And we all know this. People are going to judge you no matter what. They're going to judge you for not doing something. They're going to judge you for doing something. Right? That's part of society.
Absolutely.
Fear of rejection. You know, this business may not take off the way I want it to. I know when we started this endeavor, it has drastically changed. And that is not at all a failure on our part, a rejection. It just changed we had to adapt and grow. Right? But if we would have based our mindset off of rejection, I think how many people have told us, no, I don't want to work with you, or that price doesn't work for me. You know, we wouldn't still be doing what we're doing. And so it because we don't live for that. I mean, we are able to do what we do based off people who say yes.
Right.
And for every yes, there's 20,000 no's, and that's okay.
Absolutely. I have actually a great story. You know, when we were first getting started and kind of working through the no's, because that can be discouraging too. When you hear so many no's, you're like, man, are we in the right field? But we did watch this video. Trying to remember the details, but nonetheless, it was a guy who was starting this zoo. I think it was a zoo, a farm or something, but he was asking for donations from wealthy people. He was asking for $1 million. I want to say he had asked like 20, 30, maybe even 50 people, but he kept going. And then he got a yes. He got a wealthy person to donate $1 million, and he was able to create this, I think it was a zoo, or I don't know. But
a wildlife refuge.
There we go, a wildlife refuge to save the animals. And he was able to do what he needed. He didn't give up. He didn't let his fear of rejection stop him. And now, of course, you know, if he's asking so many times, at some point, you're going to have a friend or a family member say, hey, are you done? Like, people keep telling you no. Like, what's the point? Like, why do you keep going? There's going to be, not only can you hold yourself back from yourself, but your circle can as well. Your circle can really put a damper on your dreams if you let them. But that guy did not. And he was able to start his wildlife refuge, that's right, by being persistent.
And so, you know, the same goes with us. For every 20 no's, we would get a yes. But we only needed a handful of yeses to sustain us and keep us moving forward. And, you know, so we all have fear of rejection. You know, we all have fear of judgment, fear of failure. But the difference is, like, we all have it. So that's a given. And sadly, 90% of us will allow our actions to live fear-based actions and not based off what we want. And only 10% of us will. Right? And so it's what side do you want to be on? It's that simple. You don't need a special skill. You don't need to have your perfect life lined up. You know, if you think you don't have enough time, so do we. We don't think we have enough time either. Like, all of us have different challenges, whether it's money, time, skill set. We will all have obstacles to overcome. And it's, will you allow those to stop you or not? Will you live in fear, or will you live in courage and vulnerability?
Absolutely. takes me back to the quote you mentioned earlier. At any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step back into, what was that? Safety, right? Why choose stepping back into safety? Like, why do that? Why let fear keep you trapped in this bubble of unhappiness, or this bubble of safety, if you will, like not knowing, not pursuing? You got to step forward into that growth, guys. Go ahead.
There's a quote that you make fun of me because I tell it on almost every new client we have. But it's what has gotten you this far will only get you this far. Meaning maybe your reserve, maybe your integrity, your preserve, your ambition, your intelligence got you this far in life, and that's great and that's successful. But it will only, those same things will keep you at this level. You have to try something new. You have to step outside that comfort zone to get you to the next level. If not, you're always going to live at that same cusp, right? So even if you're successful and you have all of these things on paper and you're somewhat happy, right? You're satisfied. It's not the same as like, well, what if? And taking it to the next level. And it's having to step outside those comfort zones and overcome those fears. I mean, really, that's the only way to do it. And I know you were talking about like all of those no's that we got. It was devastating for us in the beginning.
At first we were like, what's that? We were just like, oh, Nikki, if I hear one more no, I'm literally sending the white flag out. I give up. I'm done.
Yeah, I think you told me a few times, you're like, you can just call it Katsaounis Life Coaching. Like, I give up. Like, scratch my name off the side.
Right.
And now we almost, I don't want to say thrive in it. You know, there's a part of us that's disappointed in ways we can't serve someone, because we want everyone to live their best life and live in their purpose and take their life to the next level. But for those who aren't ready, okay, come back when you are, or you know, what else can we do? We will provide some free like webinars or things, but we don't take that personally. It's not, we don't live in someone else's rejection. That's their money mindset and their issues. And I know we don't let those obstacles stop us from doing what we truly love to do and help in that way.
100% agree with that. Let's talk about the feeling of being whelmed. And how possibly that can stop us from elevating up to the next version of ourselves. So
this has been big with both of us lately.
This has been big with both of us. So whelmed is kind of associated with overwhelmed, if you will.
We did steal this from a client of ours.
We did steal this from a client, yes. Whelmed is associated with overwhelmed, but it's kind of like the good, if you will. Like so many things are going on in your life, you just feel whelmed, you feel full.
Yeah, so I also associate it, like, let's say you're getting married, you know, not that you should give this example. I'm not married, you have. But like when people are planning for a wedding, it's something positive. They want to do it, hopefully, right? That's a whole separate issue. Like you're looking forward to this event, but there's so much to do. So you're feeling very whelmed. It's not negative tasks. You're not overwhelmed. It's just too much. Even if it's joy or happiness, it's a lot. It's a lot. Your belly is full.
It's heavy.
Right?
Absolutely. And so many people may feel this in life, especially right now with many different changes. Like maybe you are experiencing a new job or you're working from home, but you get to be around your kids and now you're their teacher. Just so many new things happening in your life that are good for you, but you just kind of feel full. Like you're at the brim, you're at your max.
Yeah, and so being whelmed, right, I
laugh every time we say that, whelmed.
Yeah, can really stop us. I know for us, we've had this mindset lately of like, well, our lives are so full and positive, right? We have good careers, we have loving people around us, like our personal lives, our professional lives are going so well, our dissertations that, oh, we don't need to move forward. We're good for right now. But that mindset will not get us where we want to be. And I know it's very easy to get caught up in that.
It really is, guys. So please.
I want to add to that. So there's a difference between like we're full of gratitude, right? And so I think that's what allows us to be stuck in being whelmed, because we're grateful for the positive things we have, but then again, we stay stuck there.
So guys, please drop a comment down below. We'd love to respond to you guys. What are some ways that you are struggling and holding yourself back? What are some mindsets that you struggle with? Fear, that fear of judgment, just not being able to trust in your abilities. We want to help you work through some of those things. But with that being said, we really want to share what our coaching process looks like. So when we work with clients, they experience an array of feelings, an array of emotions, can't talk today, and life-changing experiences when they work with us. Like she mentioned earlier, many people come to us with, they need guidance on their purpose. They need guidance on how to move forward with opening a business or even a career change, home life balance, things.
Overcoming traumatic events.
Overcoming traumatic events is a big one. Just how to overcome those things and move forward. We really cater to our clients. It's a personal, life coaching is a personal experience. We dig deep. We figure out the mindsets that are holding these people back, such as the mindsets we mentioned today, imposter syndrome, fear mindsets, things like that. We dig deep and help them work past those obstacles.
Yeah, and so I think most of you already know, but for those followers who are new, so we are therapists at heart. That's our trade, that's our background, that's our academic background. And so we combine the therapy, especially with like a cognitive behavioral therapy approach, right? So we combine all of that knowledge in looking past and what's causing these mindsets and what's gotten you this far and also what's stopping you from moving forward, right? And then we combine that with coaching and learning how to dig deep and self-assess and look at life from a new perspective so that you can move forward, also while holding you accountable.
Absolutely, that's the biggest piece, is holding you accountable.
Yeah, with traditional coaches, there isn't necessarily the therapy background, so a lot of coaches will refer you to a therapist at the same time. And with the therapy piece, you're not held accountable and you're not necessarily moving forward. You're simply like healing from the past. And so I think we really take pride in being able to combine both of those approaches so that you can move forward. And so that essentially we work ourselves out of a job. Like, we don't want to see you in 2 years or 3 years. We want to know that we gave you the skill sets so that in the obstacle that comes, you have the ability to overcome it yourself, right? Not that we don't want to see you, but definitely not on a professional basis.
Yes, and that's exactly why I, and probably you as well, just love coaching. Just to be able to see the transformation happen in our clients rather quickly. Work us out of a job. We're going to hold you accountable. Not only are we going to have weekly sessions with our clients, but we send research articles. She sends research articles, if you will. We create personalized worksheets for you. And we have like those in-sessions contact with you to make sure that you're following up with what you need to do to achieve your goals. So, sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, so I think, in the theme of you holding yourself back from you, right? There will always be an excuse as to why you're not taking your life to the next level. COVID, but look at how many businesses are thriving in COVID. They've adapted, they've done something different, they were creative, right? Well, I have kids at home. Okay, you're gonna have kids at home for the next 18 years, right? So you're gonna wait to start something. Like, there's always gonna be reasons. Not saying they aren't valid. They are obstacles. 100%. Those are obstacles, right? But part of therapy and coaching is learning how to overcome obstacles. And so there's a difference in having that mindset of, am I gonna let an obstacle stop me, or am I gonna bite the bullet and learn how to overcome it?
Right. And coaching will definitely help you guys do that. So if you resonated with some of these things that we shared with you guys today, and you're ready to take your life to the next level and stop getting in the way of yourself, reach out to Nicole and I. You can find us at our website, visiondrivencoaching.com. Go to the Contact Us tab and go ahead and submit your inquiry, and we will reach out to you within 24 hours. Also, you can see us on all social media platforms. Facebook is Bryant Katsaounis Life Coaching, and Instagram is BKLLC19. Nonetheless, guys, please, if you need anything from us, even if you don't want to set up a consultation and you have questions, message us. We're highly responsive. We love providing content. We like helping people work through where they're at now and helping them get to the next level.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So as always, thank you for joining us on MINDTRIP as we explore the connections between mindsets and mental health. We'll see you next Wednesday at 4:30. Have a good weekend.
Bye.